Welcome to the Samurai's Guide to Work-Life Mastery, where ancient wisdom meets modern productivity. This show blends timeless Japanese philosophies with practical tools to help you create balance, purpose, and harmony in your work and life. Each season, we explore one of Steve Beauchamp's transformative books, uncovering actionable strategies and insights to help you thrive. This season, we're exploring Always Improving, Lessons from the Samurai, a guide designed to take you on a journey into the principles of Bushido, offering practical strategies for navigating modern challenges with discipline, purpose, and harmony. Steve Beauchamp is a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, project management expert, and lifelong student of Japanese culture. As an author, speaker, and coach, he is dedicated to helping leaders and professionals achieve work-life harmony through continuous improvement in the wisdom of Bushido. So you're in the right place whether you're looking to find balance, spark your creativity, or lead with purpose. Get ready to embark on a journey toward mastery, one principle at a time.
Okay, well, welcome to episode 5. If you've made it this far into the season, I'm grateful and thank you for listening. Today, I want to talk a little bit about kind of the core theme around kind of my life mission, I guess you could say, is I believe that there's a big difference between work-life harmony, which is what I write about, versus work-life balance. And so on this episode, we want to talk a little bit about, those differences and why I think it's not reasonable to try to search and strive for work-life balance and why work-life harmony makes more sense. So, before I dive into the details of the differences between them, I want to talk a little bit about where my life used to be. So I used to work really long hours. I mean, we're talking 60 plus hours like in a work week. Not a really sustainable or healthy way to live, by the way. So I don't recommend that for anybody. And at that time, I certainly didn't have any harmony, and I absolutely did not have any balance because, I was definitely just working all the time. And I think at the time I had a different attitude towards work where I felt like it was something that I wanted to do all the time. It's honestly something I still have to check myself because I really enjoy writing. I really enjoy talking about my writing. And so I have to be very careful not to spend all of my time working. But I think, as I transitioned out of having this like super long work life, I ended up burning out, and it definitely did not, I think, make me a very pleasant person to be around for sure. I think I just kind of got to the point where I just wasn't happy with where my life was at, and I would just take it out on other people. But I think the point I'm trying to make here is back then I was thinking like, oh man, I'm like spending all this time working, but I don't have any like balancing like activities that I'm doing. And so I ended up getting down on myself at the same time as like working a lot. And it just got to the point where I was trying to live in two worlds and it just wasn't working. And so I think the problem with trying to find a balance is it suggests that there's this equilibrium point that we can find between the working and the leisure time that we have. And I think there's a fallacy in thinking that that's possible. And the reason why I think it's not possible is if you think about life in and of itself, it's actually a state of not being in equilibrium, right? we're constantly changing as just a human. Like our bodies are different from one day to the next. Our minds are different from one day to the next. We're constantly in a state of change. The world around us is also in a constant state of change. So to think that you could find a balancing point between the two, I think is extremely naive, in my opinion. And so I like to think about this idea of finding harmony in the working life that I choose to do and the leisure time that I enjoy having. And I think when you can find harmony, it's kind of like if you've ever listened to music, you'll find that there's these chords that create this different sound based on how they're blended together. Sometimes you get chords that are major chords and they're very pleasant to hear. Sometimes you have minor chords which end up having a little bit of tension in the sound. And you also have a whole bunch of other types of chords. It's not a musical lesson, so I'm not going to get into the details of it, but the point I'm trying to make is different chords create different harmonies, and those harmonies create the sound that becomes a song. And if they were all the same note and the same chord, you wouldn't have any kind of like excitement. I guess it would just be the same. There wouldn't be any, like it wouldn't be a song. It would just be a note or a chord being held, which isn't very exciting at all, in my opinion. But when you think about how a song progresses, right, it's not trying to be imbalanced necessarily. It's trying to like take you on a journey, which is kind of like what life is in and of itself. So for me, I prefer to strive for harmony because it really reminds me that, there's going to be ebbs and flows in my life. And it's okay if sometimes I'm spending a little bit more time working than not. But then there's going to be other times where I spend zero time working and I'm spending more time in my leisure activities. And so I just find that point where I can have that ebb and flow, much like a song. And I think the way that, approach work-life harmony tends to be a more holistic approach to life as opposed to trying to find a point in time where you find balance. And so, I just want to encourage you that searching for work-life balance is noble, right? But I think you're going to have a really hard time finding it, as I did. But work-life harmony, on the other hand, I think is very achievable. And it's something you can start tomorrow or even today. So, I want to, just encourage you to just take a moment right now as you're listening to the end of this episode. Think about some of those things in your working life and your personal life that, tend to ebb and flow. And think about how that like resonates for you, right? And think about how you can blend those things together a little bit more with that harmony so that it's a little bit more seamless between one or the other. I've always been a fan of working so that I can actually live the life I want to lead, as opposed to living so that I can work. I don't know about you, but I would rather, be able to live the way I want to live. So, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for our next episode, where we're going to talk a little bit about mentoring and getting in tune with our core values. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Samurai's Guide to Work-Life Mastery. We hope today's insights inspire you to take one more step toward harmony, growth, and purpose in your life. This episode was brought to you by Always Improving, Lessons from the Samurai. If you'd like to dive deeper into the ideas discussed today, you can grab your copy of the book through the link in the show notes. While you're there, don't forget to check out Steve's website for additional resources and tools to help you on your journey. You can also subscribe to the newsletter for exclusive tips, updates, and content to keep your growth on track. As a thank you for joining the newsletter, you will get a free copy of Steve's book, The Path to Harmony, Practical Steps to Finding Purpose and Meaning in Your Work. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's ready to master the art of work-life harmony.